Bunnicula, the graphic novel, is a very faithful adaptation of the original novel. The majority of the time, the original text is quoted word for word. This includes Harold's longer strings of narration. The graphic novel is not afraid to have a page which is all narration and no dialogue. I noticed about 30 changes to the text. Here they are. Since this is a graphic novel, the editor's note changes manuscript of the book to pages of the story. In the editor's note, gentleman is changed to dear gentle bookmakers. Harold doesn't go on a brief digression on why he dislikes going to the movies. The graphic novel adds a line that says Harold is proud to have Chester as a friend, even though he is a cat. Mrs. Monroe doesn't suggest the name Bun Bun for Bunnicula. Less emphasis is placed on Chester trying to get milk. The Monroe parents don't compliment each other on their great pet name choices. Both versions have a joke that Harold literally eats books. The book in the joke is changed from Jonathan Livingston Seagull to Life of Pi. Chapter 2 adds a 3-page dream sequence where Chester visits Castle Bunnicula. The graphic novel moves up the explanation about a neighbor playing the violin. That results in the removal of the joke section where Harold thinks a caravan is a type of car. In the original, Chester bathes his tail to get out of a conversation. This is replaced with a page that lists ways to spot a vampire. Chester and Harold don't get on the table to see better when the white vegetables are discovered. The illustrations occasionally show Harold writing the book on a computer. I assume he wrote the original book on a typewriter. In the original book, Harold loves to eat chocolate cupcakes with cream in the center. The graphic novel changes them to non-chocolate cupcakes, because chocolate is bad for dogs. The joke scene of Harold jumping on a chair with Chester is slightly altered. In the original, there is a book on the chair. There is no book there in the graphic novel. The end of Chapter 4 is more suspenseful, since they remove some jokes that Harold makes about Chester being melodramatic. Pete says chemicals are sprayed on vegetables. In the original, he said DDT is sprayed on vegetables. I'm guessing they changed this line because DDT was banned worldwide in 2004. See? You learned something from watching this video. It's educational. The graphic novel removes Mrs. Monroe's claim that all vegetables are organic. An alcohol reference is removed. It's the line after Chester acts up when one of the boys says, "Hey, Dad, did you leave your brandy glass out last night?" In Chapter 6, Harold lists the number of olfactory receptors in the nose of your average dog, cat, and human. Chester has a lot more garlic cloves spread around the house in the graphic novel. Where did he get access to 50 cloves of garlic? They add a joke scene where Harold thinks the constellations in the sky are things like a cupcake, a bowl of food, and an annoying bird. Chester briefly stutters from cold after he gets a bath. There's a brief visual gag where Chester creeps on his hind legs. He asks Harold to creep in the same way. Violence is removed. In the original, Chester pounds the stake into Bunnicula repeatedly. In the graphic novel, he has his paws in the air, ready to strike, but he's stopped before he does so. The graphic novel adds a page where Chester watches from outside the house, urging Harold not to eat the steak. I'm not sure if this counts as a change, though. There is an illustration of this scene in the original, though without any accompanying text. In both versions, Chapter 7 is named A New Friend in Need. The word new is enclosed in parentheses in the original, but not in the graphic novel. The text is slightly altered to include a joke that Chester is Fluffy the Vampire Slayer. When Chester crawls out of the salad bowl, he mutters to himself, "Dignity, always dignity." The vet is changed from male to female. She is given more lines when she realizes Harold is not due for any shots. Those are all the changes. I noticed several of them are the addition of new jokes. which is perfectly fine. I think the biggest change is getting rid of chocolate cupcakes, and I assume that's because the author got so many letters saying his dog character shouldn't eat chocolate. I assume that because Harold mentions getting those letters in a later book of the Bunnicula series.